You know what movie his brain reminds me of?
Tell me.
Tremors.
Oh, because of the worms. Hello, and welcome to Chuds, Grifters and Freaks, the show where we determine whether or not somebody's a chud, a grifter, or a freak, or possibly some combination of the three. We're your hosts. My name is Chris Anderson, but you can call me Shibble. I'm casual.
And I'm Ethan Sereski. And motherfuck the big three. Shibble, it's just big me. Bum!
It is just big you, but it's not just us big two. There's going to be one more. We're talking about a specific chud, grifter, or freak this week. It's Robert F. Kennedy Jr., yeah?
RFKJ, the least accomplished of the Kennedy family.
The dose.
That's what they call him, the dose?
They call him the dose, and we're going to be getting a dose of RFK. As we say, let's get a dose of the dose, just like he should have gotten a dose of ivermectin, because he had a worm growing in his brain.
Wait. We're not saying he's an idiot, like this guy has brain worms. What Shibble's saying to you guys is that he had a worm that was eating his brain.
Yes.
In his head, inside his skull.
He is running for president, and a worm died eating his brain. Let's hear him out.
You make it sound like something happened to the worm.
I mean, something did happen to the worm. The worm is dead. That we know.
Did it die of old age, or did it die of whatever poison is in his system?
It's probably just overstuffed. Do you know? It's like, damn, I ate too much of this guy's brain.
I've been doing it for 40 years.
God, I'm like the guy at the beginning of Seven.
The glutton?
Yep.
Less than 1 year out from the 2024 election, polls are showing that voters are not happy with the possibility of a Trump-Biden rematch.
Fair enough. Yeah,
that's true.
I think the polls got that one right.
The only thing that could be worse is if you added another guy who had a worm in his brain.
Yeah, if my best case scenario third option was a man whose brain had been eaten by a worm.
Well, how much of the brain do you suppose?
I imagine that's going to come up. Okay. I'd say based on from what I've heard him say, somewhere in the area of 70%.
It's eaten 70% of his brain.
I'm thinking that basically he can't recognize concepts anymore.
Well, which part of the brain respects science?
Well, whatever part it is, it's gone.
Yeah.
And third-party candidates are set to play a decisive role in the race. Among them is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He announced his run as an independent in October after he ended his bid for the Democratic Party nomination.
Yeah, I was hoping somebody was going to primary Biden. I was not hoping it was going to be RFK Jr.
They weren't going to let that happen.
No, they wouldn't let that happen.
And guys, we don't mean what you think we mean. We mean the Jews.
The latest poll from Quinnipiac University shows that in a three-way matchup against Trump and Biden, 21% of registered voters said they backed Kennedy.
Oh,
that's rough.
This is the scariest thing I've seen this week.
So, if any Kennedy people are watching this video,
address them.
Please. I really want you to keep in mind. And honestly, obviously, we're looking at two other flawed candidates. I get it.
Right.
Robert F. Kennedy has literally had his brain eaten by a worm.
Yeah.
And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. joins me now to discuss all of this and more. Mr. Kennedy, thank you very much.
Wait, please go back. He's staring blankly. His brain has been eaten by worms.
Robert
Look
F.
at
Kennedy
his face.
Jr. joins me now to discuss all of this and more. Mr. Kennedy, thank you.
He is completely just shut off inside.
That is like, I've never seen such a perfect summary of someone. I mean, it looks like his brain has been eaten by worms. The only way you can describe that. Why are his eyes going off in a slant?
He is truly spacing out right now.
I think
he on ketamine.
I think he looks a lot like JFK, except now.
Well, fair enough.
Very much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me, Case.
Why
Okay, something has happened to his voice. It's not weird. I'm not going to bust on his voice.
Unless he says something in that voice that's horrible.
Oh, no, I'll bust on what he says.
Yeah,
and when I do it, I'll do my best to imitate his voice.
That's what I'm
but
saying.
know that I'm not making fun of him for having a weird voice. Lots of people have weird voices.
Why would we make fun of him for having a weird voice when it's such a target-rich environment?
No, not when his brain is being eaten by a worm.
Yeah, that's more interesting.
Do 1 in 5 Americans say that they're interested in your candidacy?
Oh, God.
I think they those are the people who've heard me speak.
If I had that voice, that would not be the way I opened up that interview. Wait, why are 20% of people going to vote for you? Because I sound like this.
Somebody get this guy a cup of tea. Jesus Christ. You can hear there's something in there that needs to get loosened up. Oh, man.
Maybe it's another worm.
Yeah, they're in his throat, too.
There's another one headed upward.
He's probably just filled with them. He's just a suit for worms.
Oh my God, he's like in Men in Black.
Men in Black, that was one big bug. This guy.
No, I meant like, okay, well, there's worms running the show, is my point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean like the ones that work at the office and drink coffee?
Yes, exactly.
He's got like 9 of those in there.
Yeah, no, more than that.
The people who are listening to podcasts, listening to long form interviews, and they want to change. They don't want to be told by either party that you have to choose between the
It's so disconcerting. I'm sorry.
It's gonna be rough if he's on the debate stage, I think.
What if he addresses the nation as president? He's like, it's time for a fireside chat with RFK.
Yeah, you'd be like, Jesus, Robert, take the afternoon off, man.
Yeah, or you know who has a better voice than him? Stephen Hawking.
And Stephen Hawking's dead, folks.
And he's still.
Because his voice might still be operative. Who can say? Listen, I think the bigger problem, like, I'm not disagreeing with anything that he's saying. Obviously, a lot of people are fed up with the 2-party system. Once again, I feel like everybody in this election seems to be going negative, and all those negative points on everybody else is absolutely 100% correct. No one is saying anything good that I like, and that is a real fucking bummer.
That's because the left, not the left, but the Democrats, they don't want to give us those left priorities. They don't want to do that for the country, so they're not going to talk about that. And the Republicans have absolutely no policy points and no platform.
But don't worry, here comes RFK.
To save the day, that's right. And the Men in Black worms.
Lesser of two evils. I think they want a candidate who's going to bring people together, who's going to inspire people, who cares about, I'm the only candidate who's talking about what's happening to the middle class in this country. And
this guy is so boring. Let's jump to the high point here. Let's go to the most replayed. I don't want to listen to this guy say absolutely nothing.
Let's give him like a minute, and if then we can skip ahead. I just want to see, this is the beginning. He might be getting into a rhythm.
Okay. It sounds like he's physically pained by talking. That's the other reason why I don't.
I'm physically pained by listening
to.
This idea that if you work hard and you play by the rules, that you ought to be able to make a decent living, you ought to be able to afford a home, you ought to be able to raise a family, take a summer vacation, and put aside something for retirement. And that was the central promise of the American.
He is boring as shit.
Everywhere I go, people agree that they want their lives to be nice. And they're tired of it being bad. Like, get the fuck out of town, Robert.
Like, I understand that a lot, if you guys, whoever out there is like an RFK person, like, I get it. The 2-party system, it's not working so well, and there's terrible candidates. But, like, this isn't a better option. Like, are you nuts?
No, this is nothing. He's saying nothing.
But just because you hate 2-party doesn't mean a third option is better.
And we haven't even gotten to his fucking brainworms yet.
Yeah.
He's still just out here just being like, I have absolutely nothing to say.
Yeah, what does he say?
I sound like I'm dying.
He has nothing to say. Unless you bring up vaccines.
And And it's now gone for this generation, particularly people 20 to 35, who I'm very, very strong with.
People's in their 20s or 35?
Yeah, 25 to 35. He's doing better in that demo than we are.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I looked at our stats. Most of our listeners or viewers are over the age of 55.
Really?
Yeah.
Great. We're mature.
Welcome aboard.
We're super mature.
It's true. Jeez, crow.
Let's go back to making fun of this guy's voice.
Are seeing that it no longer applies to them, and they're feeling betrayed.
Yeah, America is in a sorry state of affairs, Robert.
Yeah. I wish you wouldn't take advantage of that.
What are your solutions? Give me some solutions.
Yeah, that's right. Propose some policy for us.
Yeah, I can tell you what's wrong. I need somebody to come and fucking fix it.
Right.
You also have a very famous last name.
Kennedy.
What's that?
It's Kennedy.
Oh.
Yeah, I've met a lot of juniors.
Do you think he thinks that his middle name is Kennedy and his last name is Junior?
My middle name, F. Kennedy.
For Kennedy.
Especially in American politics. When you announced your run, there were some members of the Kennedy family who were not happy about it.
Yeah.
Including the ones rolling over in their graves.
I mean, and to be fair, I'm not the biggest fan of the Kennedys either. You
didn't like JFK?
I didn't know much about him after he got shot in the face 30 years before I was born or something. 20 years. I'm not that young. But yeah, he was a 3-term president that didn't get us out of.
It was his first term. He was killed.
Yeah. I'm sorry, 3-year president.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not like I look around and I see an amazing Kennedy legacy that I recognize. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree.
It's not like I'm in my everyday life. I look at something like, hey, that's thanks to Big Jack Kennedy.
He cussed a lot as president. There are some really funny recordings of him being like, I hate this fucking office, this chair in my office, get the fuck out of here. He would just be slanging swears left and right. You should look it up if you guys are listening.
And obviously his presidential licentiousness sort of painted the Democrats with an easy attack, and it didn't help the culture war, that's for sure.
He was also into civil rights, which didn't help him in a lot of the
areas. No. And I'm sure there were good things. I don't know enough about Kennedy to particularly care about the Kennedy name.
I got you.
Especially, and I don't care about fucking Nepo-babies.
You don't think Robert earned it?
No, I'm going to say, you have a famous last name. My first inclination is, fuck you then. You know what I mean?
Really? That's not my I would like to meet them and see if they are an asshole first.
No, what are you on TV for? You're just some fucking.
Daddy was famous. I thought you meant just a person who happened to be born into the Hilton family, but you're talking about Paris Hilton, who's on TV. Those people can fuck themselves because they're famous for no reason.
I respect Paris Hilton more than I respect RFK Jr. I'm going to be honest.
At
least Paris Hilton was able to capitalize on her fame and use that to build a little cottage industry. She's had a surprisingly long shelf life. RFK just sort of popped up in my consciousness a year and a half ago as a complete fucking freak, and has only gotten worse in no small part due to the fact that he recently admitted that he has a worm in his brain.
Also, Paris Hilton didn't tell us not to take vaccines ever.
It's true. Paris was definitely going to be on the right side of that one, as far as I know.
She was a good-looking woman.
It's true. She's got that going for her.
Yeah.
They wrote in a statement, quote, the decision of our brother Bobby to run as a third-party candidate against Joe Biden is dangerous to our country.
That's from his family?
That's from his family, who are calling him Bobby, which I think is really funny.
It sounds like he's the slow member of the family. It's Bobby's running for president.
Bobby, it's time. The time's done.
And they said that while you might share the same name as our father, you do not share the same values, vision, or judgment.
Damn, also attacking his character.
Damn, what?
That's your family, dog.
And they made it public. They didn't just send it to him. They sent it to CNN.
No, that is a statement that they made.
They made a statement about their dumb brother.
Today's announcement is deeply saddening for us. We denounce his candidacy and believe it to be perilous for our country.
God damn.
If you just change the names at the bottom to like Trump relatives, you could use that as a mass mailer.
I mean, geez, crow. Can you imagine your own family being like, whatever you do not support Ethan.
But you know, what's crazy is that I could literally picture the families of any and all of the three candidates being discussed here having their families write these letters. Like Joe Biden's would be like, this is elder abuse. Like, please leave him alone. Let him like come back home. Trump's would be like, he's a horrible, evil person. And then you have this.
I mean, I don't think Don Jr. and Eric would be writing this letter. They know
Mary.
what side their bread is buttered on.
Well, they're also stupid. I'm talking about Mary Trump. You know the
yeah. There's the one that's vocal.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how he responds to being told to his face that his family hates him and thinks that he is a danger to the nation.
I read that into it too. This also says we hate you.
Yeah.
What have you said to your family?
Well, you know, I have a big family.
It's true.
They all hate you.
Yeah. They wrote a letter to
I would have said I have a small family. I'd be like, it's a really small family. There's not that many people who think this way. He's like, no, I have a big family. A lot, like, there's like 200 people who think I shouldn't run.
He's got about 105.
There's about 105. You know, on 4th of July, when I last counted. So a lot of them support me, a lot of them don't. Listen, my family has a long relationship with President Biden. President
Biden has a bus, so that's pretty cool.
Biden has a bust of my father behind him at the Oval Office.
A bust?
There's bust. Oh, he's got a bust.
That would be dope if Biden had a bus.
Yeah. All aboard the No Malarkey Express.
Bang Brothers presents Biden bus.
5 members of my family who have jobs with the administration.
So would you hire them if you became president? It's not like you would necessarily not hire them. Is there a reason why they would think that about you?
Why is he disparaging the two-party system when his entire family works for Biden?
So, I understand that some of them are troubled by my running against somebody who's an old family friend.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, you could see that.
Yeah. We were friends with Biden. You run against him, that's going to offend him. It's not because you have no brain left after the worm got through with it.
No, it's not because we're genuinely worried about you, Bobby.
Bobby!
Disagree with me on issues like the Ukraine war.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was raised in a milieu where we argued with each other. We were actually orchestrated debates every night at the kitchen table.
What a weird thing to do. What a horrible family.
Robert, this is your position. Your sister will be defending the opposite position.
All 105 of you are going to get a vote.
Can we just eat?
No.
Another word came out of Bobby.
There was a lot of passion and we were encouraged, but we also know how to differ with each other and still love each other.
They don't love you.
They certainly don't support you.
And I don't think they love him.
My family, and they're entitled to their opinions.
Don't
they
think they're going to elect Donald Trump?
What?
Well, people may believe that, but that's up to them. I don't.
No, it's either true or it's not. It's not about what people believe.
I mean, who can say what's true in this day and age, right? Truth is, everything.
It's malleable.
Like, it's ultimately unknowable, right? We can only view shadows on the cave wall.
Yeah, that is what we're being told these days.
I think I should be running for president. I think people need to hear somebody talking instead of the vitriol, the anger, the hatred, the division. I think people need to hear about a vision for this country that is going to restore the industrial base, that is going to restore the middle class, that's going to get a generation of kids into homes, into houses. And
What?
Okay, so what's the plan?
Yeah. Okay. So your goal is to get children into houses. How are you going to do that?
Yeah, I want to make things better. Okay,
Everything sucks and get better. How?
and I think we ought to be asking our politicians how they're going to do that. I'm the only politician who's talking about that. I'm the only one who's off.
when are you talking about it? Are you going to talk about it today?
I
Is
think
it
he
going to
meant.
come up?
I think he meant he's the only politician making those bold claims that he's going to make things better.
Yeah, I'm the only one who's talking about how things need to be fixed.
Yeah. Trump is painting such a rosy picture of the country.
It's true.
Offered solutions for that.
All right.
What are your
So
solutions?
you have gained notoriety for your skepticism about vaccines. And
Whew.
Ooh, nice segue.
Yeah. All right. Well, I
So
can't
you're
wait
not
to hear
just-
this guy talk about science. If he's really into the specifics as much as he is about politics, I think we might learn something.
Want to make things better. Is there a better thing for a politician to want to do? I mean, you're really dark, Shibble.
I want to make things best.
You should run. That's a great platform.
Yep.
and over the summer in an interview, you said, quote, "There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective." Do you still believe that?
I never said that.
So stop me. We have the clip. Please play.
Oh,
The clip.
production meeting. They're
Play
like,
the
so
whole
then
clip. Not
You've
just that.
talked about that the media slanders you by calling you an anti-vaxxer. And you've said that you're not anti-vaccine, you're pro-safe vaccine. Difficult question. Can you name any vaccines that you think are good?
I think some of the live virus vaccines are probably averting more problems than they're causing. There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
Watch what
Well,
it seems
he
you
got
did
you
say it.
there.
Yeah.
That was sort of the full sentence.
And we know it was you talking because we can identify that voice anywhere.
Well, you want to stick with this one or you want to move on to our next video?
Up to you.
Let's keep this rig rolling. I want to find
We
out
haven't gotten
about
to
these
the brain
brain
worms.
worms. Exactly.
This one doesn't have brainworms in it?
That looked like just him reacting to vaccines.
Oh, okay. Just getting a little background. A little hello, how are you?
Yeah, just getting to know the man. He likes it when things are good. He dislikes bad things, and he wants things to be better. And also, he does not believe in vaccines.
Also, he is the black sheep of a family that is embarrassed by him and would rather he would go away somewhere.
Yeah, everyone in his family thinks that he is a danger to the country.
You know what they should do to him? What they did to Rose.
Well, let's find out what this worm did to his brain.
Maybe it is the
According
same
to-
thing.
Let's see what Dr. Gupta has to say. CNN's own Dr. Gupta.
Sanjay Gupta.
It is a story you cannot make up. The New York
I bet I could make this up. I hate it when people say that. I
We
feel like
already-
a
that's
lot of
literally-
people already made up the idea that RFK Jr. had worms in his brain.
I was just about to say, like, so many people all along have been like, that guy's got brain worms. So yeah, easily made up. Want to
Times
see this?
reporting that
Ready?
Independent press.
There's an octopus with 17 eyes.
All right, now if one shows up, you will have predicted it.
I'm just showing how easy it is to make things up, and he couldn't do
Yeah, it's the magic of imagination.
it.
Presidential candidate RFK Jr. said in a deposition in 2012 that a doctor told him a worm got into his brain, ate a portion of it, and then died. CNN's chief
How dare he? It was okay that he ate, but then he had the nerve to die inside of my skull.
Now I have a rotting worm in my brain. That can't be good.
His skull is a pet cemetery.
Look at that expression on his face. Can you imagine this guy telling you, I had a worm fly in my brain?
Who do you think had the worst ending? Christy Gnome's dog or his brainworm?
God. Oh, well, It seems like he doesn't have. It's not personal with the worm. It seems like RFK Jr. is like no big deal. So I'm gonna say Gnome's dog. Just that level of hatred.
Of course, he thinks no big deal. It's like in your brain is where you would think it's a big deal, and he doesn't have much of that left.
It's true.
Medical correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta joins me now. Dr. Gupta, Sanjay.
That's not the look on the face of a doctor when he's coming in to talk to you about brainworms. You don't want that look on his face.
This is rough.
Well, we got the results in. It's brainworms.
Andrew, great to see you as always. We thought you'd be perfect for this. You are a neurosurgeon. And I have to, the question I had instantly when I saw this is, well, besides the question, do I have one? But how
what do you think? Do you think CNN anchor, what's his name, also has one?
A brainworm?
Yeah. I mean, that was his first question. Always go with your instincts, I say.
I think it's natural to hear about brainworms and be like, maybe I have one,
It's true. Maybe the entire upper echelon of our society is controlled by people with brainworms.
Or
and
maybe-
only because RFK Jr.'s brainworm died is he free.
Think
about
we need to elect him immediately.
Exactly.
common might this be? Does this happen?
Yeah, this does happen. I mean, obviously, we're just hearing about it from RFK himself, but
it's also weird that it's my understanding this might be fake because he said it in divorce proceedings.
Yeah. He said it to avoid higher alimony payments, to say that he had cognitive issues and other issues because of it.
Damn, this motherfucker's got a worm in his brain.
I can tell you, as a neurosurgeon, it's a rare condition.
So this doesn't pop up too often.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I mean, because it sounds horrific.
Yeah, thank goodness.
But it's typically something that is caused by eating undercooked pork.
Or by swallowing brainworms.
Yeah, or taking those brainworm pills.
Yeah, or pushing brainworms into your ear.
Yeah, just getting those from the dark web.
I bet you can get brainworms on the dark. I bet you on eBay you could probably get one that was in Robert.
Yeah, probably. He's got to fund his campaign somehow.
Can you grade them?
And again, we don't know.
Yeah, he's going to get it sealed and graded. I'm looking to get it. I got my eyes on a 9.2 worm that I'm pretty excited.
This for sure, but just based on the description that we're hearing, sounds very much like this, where you eat undercooked pork and the larvae get into your bloodstream and then basically can spread.
He says he also had mercury poisoning. That'll also fuck up your brain.
I saw that. He was doing so badly. They were like, this guy, I don't know what's wrong with him. Apparently he ate so much fish that he had like the worst mercury poisoning. He was like a thermometer.
Like a Jeremy Piven situation.
Oh, is he the guy from Entourage, right?
Yeah. He that happened to him when he was doing a show on The Great White Way, Broadway. He said it was because he was eating too much sushi.
What an awesome life.
Yeah, but mercury famously will also eat holes in your brain.
Oh, so he's got that. You know what? That's interesting. So he's got
like
brain
that's
worms.
how we get Mad Hatters.
He's got brain worms and mercury poisoning.
Yeah, so that brain, it sounds like it's in rough shape.
And he's also 70. So, I mean, there's already some deterioration.
And he also has atrial fibrillation.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Spread throughout the body and the bloodstream. They can go to all sorts of different organs, including the brain, Jim. So again, it's unusual. Let me show you an image here. This is what it might look like in someone's brain when you do an MRI scan.
Ew.
He's got wormholes in his brain, not unlike these. Now, if there is anybody out here watching this video and you have had a worm eat your brain, I don't want to say that you can't go out there and do whatever you want, that you can't go out there and achieve. Robert F. Kennedy, I feel like his brain has gotten too worm eaten. I feel like his has gone too far. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the proof is in the pudding. You can tell that there's damage been done by them worms.
Yeah, it feels noticeable. It feels like whatever you need to do to overcome that challenge of having your brain been eaten by worms, he has not done that.
You know what movie his brain reminds me of?
Tell me.
Tremors.
Oh, because of the worms.
Yes,
might see
the
these,
giant worms.
Because of the worms.
The giant worms, yeah.
Okay, I thought maybe it was because he had Kevin Bacon on his
Right.
mind.
Right.
areas, and you can see them in purple there, Jim, where they basically look like little
That's these.
cysts essentially in the brain. And that is the porkworm larvae that gets in there. Sometimes.
So that's the porkworm larvae.
Porkworm larvae.
Because he ate some undercooked pork.
I don't want to
it
know.
just is-
See, it doesn't sound as bad. Like anyone could eat some undercooked pork. Like I want this to be specific to him.
Well, I mean, he then did run for president after having a worm eat part of his brain and also having mercury eat part of his brain.
I want to know how much of his brain, like I want to hear that. I want to hear like how much has been consumed by different sources.
Do you think the mercury killed the worm?
Oh,
You think that's what did it?
That's interesting. Maybe. I mean, I don't think worms ingest a lot of mercury, right?
No, I don't think they'd like it.
They don't eat fish. Fish eat them on the hook, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Sort of sitting there doesn't cause any kind of problems. Sometimes it can cause other symptoms like headaches or even seizures. And again, we don't know specifically what happened with him or if this is actually it.
All right, a lot of conjecture here from Dr. Gupta.
Yeah, he's really, hedging.
Yeah, but when you hear hoofbeats, you think horses, not zebras, right?
Yeah.
That's what Dr. House would always say.
And when you hear hello, you think worms instead of
Yeah.
horses.
Yeah, when you think worms in the brain, you think pork worms. You're not thinking your other types of worms.
Right.
But this does happen a few thousand times a year, and sometimes they even require surgery.
It happens to Bobby Kennedy a few thousand times a year.
Yeah, let me tell you, they're going in and out and in and out, and he just keeps on wolfing down that raw pork.
It's like a fucking ant farm.
Surgery, Jim.
I was going to say, and you've actually operated on these kinds of worms. What's that
Yeah.
like?
Not on the worms.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'll show you.
I bet it would be interesting. I bet that'd be an interesting day at the office. Gonna just cut out a couple little brain worms today. Hopefully, get that banged
If
out.
I can on this
Right after
brain
lunch.
model, if you can see this, but basically, imagine that image that I just showed you, and you can have these tiny little spots typically on top of the brain or closer to the surface of the brain.
Okay, so they're normally close to the surface. That's got to help.
Well, that's where they start, and then they burrow all the way through.
It's true. Yeah, they could start going down. You want to get to this quick.
Yeah.
And you basically go in and similar to a tumor in a way, you would go in and basically just remove that cyst.
It's not a
Okay,
cyst.
this guy's just going to talk about surgery.
Yeah, he's boring. Shit, Sanjay, man. He's usually not that bad. Sometimes I watch CNN because they have a good he's a good expert. It's just he doesn't have
Yeah,
that
he's not
shitty-
talking about how it's going to make RFK Jr. think that he's a werewolf or stuff. Give me the salaciousness, Dr. Gupta.
If there's a full moon, someone tie me to the bed.
All right, let's see. What does RFK Jr. have any defense?
Fake news.
What's his take on the worm in his brain?
Let's ask
I
the worm. Oh,
wonder-
the worm's dead.
No, yeah, unfortunately, the worm is long dead. We can't get
If you
his
were the
take.
worm, can you be the worm? Can I interview you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Worm, how delicious was it?
His brain was truly magical.
How much did you eat?
I ate, I want to say, at least 60%.
Oh my God, Werner Herzog as a brainworm is an excellent character. Okay, let's hear about this worm.
All right, let's see what he's got.
Glad you're streaming with us. Now to perhaps the most bizarre story of the day. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. revealing that a worm ate part of his brain.
I'm going to tell you, nobody ever made you reveal that. That really shows how bad his political instincts are.
What a twofer. The Christie Gnomes admitting she murdered her puppy. And then Robert Kennedy goes, hold my beer. I have a sandworm eating my fucking brain.
Yeah, these guys are really in a race to step on their own dick. And you can tell RFK Jr. is not handling this well. I think if if it came out that Bill Clinton had a dead brainworm, he would have been like, well, then, doctors haven't found a single living
There's nothing
brainworm
wrong
in
with
my
a
head.
brain. I used to be able to do a wicked good Clinton when we were
There's
young.
nothing alive in there. guess what? Doctors say not a single living brainworm to be found between my earlobes. He would have crushed it, and RFK just can't. He can't spin it.
No, he tans too. He over
Yeah,
tans.
that's
Yeah, it gives him that real leather bag vibe.
Oh yeah. Oh, he has a great body. You ever seen that? Like he takes off his shirt, he's ripped.
I hear he works out in jeans.
That's an old guy thing to do.
That's weird, man. That's weird vibes.
according to an article that was published in the New York Times today. We're all talking about it. What can I tell you? Our senior congressional correspondent, Rachel Scott, she's covered a lot of stories too. This is definitely has to be one of those where you are.
This has to be one of those. This has to be one of those.
Look at the joy on Rachel Scott's face thinking about it.
Yeah, finally I get to reveal something about a candidate that is funny and not like, oh, we found their dead lover. You know what I mean?
They've been talking about Gaza for like months, so like this is like quite a respite for them, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, God, what a relief for the afternoon.
You're going, okay, what the heck is going on here?
Watch your mouth.
And is Kennedy's camp saying anything about this?
Yeah, Kira, it's one of those stories that you see the headline and you read it.
The headline really says it all.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? It's a very simple story.
It's got every detail in it.
Yeah, you really know everything you need to know right from that headline.
Dead worm with full stomach found in brain. That's the whole story.
Yeah, in presidential candidates' brain.
Not just once, not just twice, but maybe 3 or 4 times before proceeding down to the article. So look, the campaign is not disputing this reporting, and the New York Times here.
I would.
Yeah, I would say I was speaking metaphorically. When
I would say I didn't say
dead
it.
worm
I don't care if they have me on tag. I'd say that's just not. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah, no, didn't happen.
Yeah.
I
Can we talk about the issues, please?
Yeah. We want to make
This
things
is all
better.
from a 2012 deposition that RFK Jr. gave during his divorce proceedings, in which he was trying to explain why he may have had short-term or longer-term memory loss. And then he says that a doctor told him that a worm got into his brain, ate a portion of it, and then that worm died.
A portion sounds like a lot.
A portion sounds like you'd notice.
Like, do you think his brain has a fucking bite mark? Like, what does it look like? It has a big indent?
I think it's like a cake that's had like just a sliver.
I think it looks like an ant farm. I think there's trails in and out all through every angle.
Well, I think that's from the mercury. I think that the worm probably just took a little slice.
So the worms just went in the mercury holes, you're saying?
Yeah. They're like, oh, here we go. Easy peasy.
Now, his campaign tells us today that Mr. Kennedy traveled extensively in Africa, South America, Asia, and worked as an environmental advocate.
Blaming foreign countries for your brain worms. Despicable.
Yeah, well, he's been traveling, so obviously a worm ate his brain. I mean, come on.
That's why everybody needs to stay in the good old US of A.
And in one of those locations that he contracted a parasite, they go on to tell us that the issue was resolved more than 10 years ago and that he is now in robust physical and mental health.
That's not the vibe he gives me.
That's not what he just said. A worm ate my brain. That's not like he's not in good mental health.
He stated in a legal document that it was going to give him cognitive impairment.
No, he said, don't I, the quote, there was a quote where he goes, I can't. He said, like, obviously, you could tell I have great cognitive impairment. That's what he said, something to that effect.
But I mean, just specifically in that legal document.
Yeah.
But again, Kira, the headline, of course, here is that Mr. Kennedy says that a doctor told him that a worm, in fact, got into his brain, ate a portion of it, and then died.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's interesting.
Look at how she is struggling. She is struggling.
The fact that the worm died makes it so much funnier because there's 2 tragedies.
It's a great little detail.
Yeah.
Because obviously, yeah, if the worm was still alive, they'd be like, oh, well, you need to go in there and get the worm. Somebody needs to do something about this. But the worm is dead. They're like, well, I guess, is it worth cutting his head open to get a dead worm? It doesn't seem like it's doing anything else.
If things had gone the right way, he could have been the first worm in the United States.
The only real thing we've noticed is that he can see Worm ghosts. I don't know. It's weird. He keeps on like seeing them in the middle of the night. He says they have missions for him. I don't know.
Looking on to what is in the article, as you read a little deeper, it says about the same time that he learned of the parasite, he said he was also diagnosed with the mercury poisoning, ingesting too much fish containing the dangerous heavy metal, which can cause serious neurological issues.
So he's got a lot of shit going on with his brain.
Yeah.
Shit that he has legally claimed impairs him.
We got to have a cognitive test or some sort of medical exam for presidential candidates. I'm sorry.
We got to stop letting people like this even get close to get nominated. How the fuck does this keep on happening? This gerontocracy is disgusting.
Shibby, 20% he has in the polls right now.
Christ.
Where will
And in
those
this
go?
deposition, he went.
What do you think? Where do they go? I think Trump. They go from Trump to Biden, I hope. But I think that's logically where they would go, because I don't know many Democrats, or leftists who are like, we love RFK.
I don't know who these people are. I have no idea what these voters
They're
are.
people who don't even watch the news, read a paper. They're just like, oh, I've heard of Kennedy.
Kennedy, huh? He's not
Yeah.
one of these two jokers? Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all he needs.
Mm-hmm.
Name recognition and to not be either of them.
And to not have his name associated with brainworms. Whoops.
Oh, well.
Went on to say, I do have cognitive problems. Clearly, I have short-term memory loss. Like you mentioned, I have longer-term memory loss that affects me. But he did go on to tell voters that might be questioning his health. What?
Yeah, his campaign says questioning Mr. Kennedy's health is hilarious. It's a hilarious suggestion, they say, given his.
I mean, it's hilarious when the question is, how much of your brain did that worm eat? You know what I mean?
Sure?
That's a hilarious question.
Are we sure there was only one? Could there be a live one there too? Like the spouse?
Yeah, they need to go back and double check.
Yeah.
Competition.
They say anytime you see one worm, there's 10 more. Do you know what I mean?
I think
like
that's
rats in New
cockroaches,
York
but-
City.
Yeah.
And we know that RFK Jr. has really tried to market himself out there as the healthier alternative, the younger.
How is the younger alternative 70 years old?
He's not that much younger. I mean, what is Trump, 74?
Oh, I think he's older. But
Or are they
don't know.
77 and 78 now? They were 74 last election, I think.
Yeah, they're fucking
They're around
good.
78, probably. Yeah.
Alternative than Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden. Of course, not that much younger. He's 70 years old in comparison to President Biden, who is 81. Donald Trump is 77, but he often
All right, there you go.
Got one.
posts pictures of himself working out in the gym, or post pictures or videos out there snowboarding, are really trying to send that.
Finally, a president that snowboards. Yes.
That's what you're thinking? I'm thinking finally a president with brainworms.
Finally, a president whose brain worms tell him to snowboard. Yes.
Why don't you snowboard?
That message to
I want
voters
to
that
hear Werner Herzog say it.
Why don't you snowboard?
Okay, I guess I can do that.
Bobby, you need to relate to the younger voters.
What should I do? What sport should I play?
Snowboarding. You should snowboard. You need to cut through the snow and do amazing acrobatics.
Okay, I'm on it.
he is the healthier, younger alternative. Of course, this is now raising a lot of questions about whether or not there were any lasting impacts.
Yeah, very good question. Very good question.
Obviously, his campaign says that they are not, but the New York Times does note that the campaign did not turn over any of his medical records. And of course, Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden have not either.
Yeah, because they're all roughly 1 million years old.
Yeah.
Well, I think that sort of seems like a good stopping place.
I think so too. This is amazing. This is quite the event.
This is the future, folks. This is a president with brainworms. And like at this point, it's hard to imagine what baggage a presidential candidate could come that voters would find disqualifying. You know what I mean?
Well, what if one was like had a bunch of indictments and criminal charges?
No problem.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought
Not
maybe
a
that was it.
problem. You know?
Okay. Well, I guess I mean when you get to the point where there's literal worms eating their actual physical brains and affecting their cognition.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay. Let me try
No
again.
problem.
What if they have sexually assaulted someone in a Macy's?
Nope. No problem.
Oh, coup.
Yeah.
Did a coup.
Yeah, it's all water. under
Killed
the
a puppy.
bridge. Yeah, no. Hey, that sounds like a great slot for the VP, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, people can do literally anything. No one cares about anything anymore. It's a dang shame. I feel a million years old. Ethan, what do you think? Is RFK a chud, a grifter, or a freak?
He's a freak.
He is a 100%.
There's nothing. There's no
fucking
chud or
freak.
grifter in him. He's a fucking absolute freak.
He's a
Imagine if I called you
freak.
up. Can you picture me calling you up and be like, I gotta tell you, I went to the doctor today. Like and you'd be worried. You'd be like, are you okay? I'd be like, well, there's a worm and it's dead and it's in my skull and it has my brain in its stomach. What would you wouldn't believe that.
I would say, listen, brother, I'm glad you found out. It's better that you know. It's better to know than to not know. And I'm glad that you're getting your brain worm treated.
If I ran for
And I
president,
gotta say, I would have to condemn you. I'd have to be like one of the other Kennedys.
okay. Well, since
They
we
knew
both-
about the brain worm the whole time. That's probably why they did that.
well, they probably just assumed it was figurative.
Yeah. It turns out the poor man has a little worm in his brain that died.
Thank you guys for joining us this episode on
Mhm.
Chuds, Grifters, and Freaks. We look forward to having you next time. Can't tell what it's going to be yet. We like to be topical. We like to be
Yeah, we
current and
try.
on the spot. Right, Shibble?
Absolutely. We love staying on top of it. So if you want to stay on top of what we're doing, hit that bell icon so you can get some notifications. Give us subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
Give a little like, leave a little comment, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. And we'll see you next time.